Welcome back to Science 10. This is the second part of climate change and examining the evidence. So as we looked at since the Industrial Revolution, a lot of carbon dioxide has been released into the atmosphere, and of course carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. Agriculture is another human activity that contributes to greenhouse gases. Nitrous oxide, so another way in which nitrous oxide is released is by the use of manure and chemical fertilizers as a worldwide practice. So using fertilizers releases nitrogen oxide to the atmosphere. Methane is emitted from rice paddies and also from digestive systems of cattle and other animals. Even you release methane. Other human practices also contribute to greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. For example, decaying garbage in a landfill site releases methane as well as decaying vegetation in flooded areas created by dams. So decaying vegetation, garbage, animals, they all release methane, and of course nitrous oxide, also from the use of chemical fertilizers breaking down. Humans have also contributed greenhouse gases to our atmosphere that have never been occurring before. Halocarbons are human man-made chemicals that can absorb significant amounts of energy. They absorb thermal energy. They're used mainly in coolants and may be found in refrigerators and air conditioners. The ability of this group of chemicals to absorb thermal energy also makes them a powerful greenhouse gas. For example, the class of halocarbons called chlorofluorocarbons, which can get released into the atmosphere, have a global warming potential of 12,000. Now, if you can compare that with the other ones, 12,000. If you take a look here, nitrous oxide, that was 296. So chlorofluorocarbons, or in short they're referred to as CFCs, have a huge potential of absorbing thermal energy. Okay, so they are commonly used in aerosols, spray bottles, air conditioners, and fire extinguishers. But they also, you may have heard, they undergo a chemical reaction that destroys the ozone in the stratosphere. So their use is now very restricted. Okay, greenhouse gases and climate change. Most scientists conclude that the increased emission of greenhouse gases by human activity has influenced the global climate. The enhanced greenhouse effect is the change in Earth's net radiation budget caused by the increase in human-generated greenhouse gases. So all of these things we were talking about since the Industrial Revolution, plus including this material here that's referred to as the enhanced, so more than usual because of what we're doing. Temperature data collected from around the world shows that the global average temperature increased by 0.6 degrees during the period from 1880 to 1999. This time span was also the period when changes in human activity, such as those in the Industrial Revolution, increased the amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So 1880 to year 2000, the temperature change, so a temperature change of 0 means nothing's changing, but as you can see here, from 1940 to around now, there's a lot of fluctuation, but overall, we can look at, it's over 0.2 over in the year 2000. In the current year, over here somewhere, it could be even higher. Global warming refers to the observed increase in the Earth's average temperature. Global warming has been detected in all regions of the Earth by global organizations that collect and share information related to climate change. One of the most important of these organizations is the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, or IPCC. And they're a group of scientists brought together to assess information related to climate change. The IPCC has linked global warming to the increased amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The majority of scientists think that if we continue to produce a high level of greenhouse gases and decrease the number of carbon sinks, continue to remove forests, etc., global warming will continue and eventually result in climate change. So the day-to-day weather that we have could change if climate change is due to that, due to our Earth heating up. Global warming is one piece of evidence that the Earth is currently undergoing climate change. Other observed changes suggest that climate change may be affecting biomes. Using satellite data and historical records from 1936 to 1998, we have found that flowers in the northern hemisphere have begun to bloom earlier, 26 days earlier than previously. So flowers arriving earlier is an indication that we may have climate change happening. Many regions of Earth, including Canada, have experienced severe weather-related disasters in the recent past, such as flooding in Manitoba's Red River, ice storms in Ontario, etc. Severe weather issues, that could be a result of climate change. Changes in the frequency and severity of storms are one potential of a rapid increase in the average global temperature. In some areas of Earth, such as the Arctic, the amount of snow cover and ice has decreased. So up in the north, what's usually covered by snow is now no longer. The average level of the world's ocean has increased 2 to 5 centimeters over the past century, which is most likely to the decrease in ice cover. So if more ice melts, of course, that turns into liquid water, which raises the level of ocean water. Some of the world's ocean have also increased in temperature. So increased in temperature, that means getting warmer. And of course, that is not a good thing, because the warmer water is, the less oxygen it can hold. And of course, fish have problems surviving if oxygen is decreased. All right, so there are some pieces of evidence of potential global warming issues and also potential climate change. Evaluating the evidence of climate change, the IPCC publishes their findings, and it's available. Although most scientists agree we are experiencing global warming, the potential effects on the biosphere are not clear. The study of climate is still very challenging. Scientists do not fully understand all interactions between all of the lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere regions and how they transfer thermal energy. Even seemingly simple factors such as cloud cover on the net radiation budget have turned out to be more complex. So of course, a lot of things we've discussed in this course is simplified, all these little factors that come into play. There are limits on the accuracy by which scientists can evaluate the evidence for climate change and the effect of human activity in climate as well. So we don't entirely know everything where that's concerned. And this page here just simply goes through confidence levels. I won't spend too much time here, but what we can say with confidence on a global and with a high confidence is that greenhouse gases are increasing. That is happening for sure. Local impacts, and don't have a huge confidence level. We don't know what is happening locally. Detailed characteristics, change in regional rainfall. We don't have a high confidence level. In terms of human interference, kind of a medium level, we can see that, yes, since the Industrial Revolution, things have happened. So yes, that points to the direction that humans have influenced it, etc. So this graph here kind of illustrates what we know for sure and what we're kind of questioning and what likely is true, but we don't have a significant amount of evidence yet. If we go to this page here, other views on climate change, scientists agree that Earth's average temperature has increased over the last century. There remains some disagreement about how much of it is due to human activity, though. How much has human activity contributed to global warming, whether global warming will lead to climate change, and the consequences climate change could bring as a result. Could it bring about an ice age? We don't know. Evidence from sources such as fossil records and ice core samples, digging down, seeing what's happened over the past hundreds of years, suggests that the Earth's climate has undergone changes like this in the past, before humans were believed to have existed. Some scientists argue global warming today could be just a part of a natural climate cycle that occurs over thousands of years. So our best evidence that supports that are the ice core samples. We can see variations in that there have been changes over thousands of years. So until such cycles are fully described, the human contribution to global warming will remain debatable to some people. Predicting the consequences of climate change is also difficult because our knowledge of the factors that affect climate is limited. Climate change is a relatively new field, so there are not enough data to predict how quickly the climate change can occur. All right. Questions I'd like you to do are right down here, actually. So on a piece of loose leaf, you can simply write this as a title, 3.1, Climate Change, Examining the Evidence. And I was nice enough here, ladies and gentlemen, to give you hints as to where to find the answers. If you take a look here, and so number 1, what is the global warming potential? You can find that on page 411. Identify 3 greenhouse gases that are generated by human activity. Describe how the atmospheric concentrations of these have changed over the past 200 years. Page 411, and I think 412 too. You'll have to kind of describe what you see on those graphs that we looked at. 3, describe one method that scientists use to measure the change in concentration of greenhouse gases over time. So that's page 411 as well. What's the method that we could look at and peer into hundreds of years ago? 4, state the sources of human-generated nitrous oxide emissions. There were 2 things we talked about. I think they're on page 413 and 414. What is a carbon sink, and give 2 examples. I think on page 413 there's 2 examples. 6, what is the enhanced greenhouse effect? Page 414, I believe. 7, describe 3 pieces of evidence of climate change during the 20th century. Went through quite a few of them there, folks. Page 415, I think, will give you a hint. Then number 10, outline the reasons why emission of greenhouse gases increased after the Industrial Revolution. So page 413, you can answer that. 11, explain the link between photosynthesis and greenhouse gas level in the atmosphere. Again, page 413, talked about that. And then the 2 extension questions I'd like you to do. You won't find the answer, but hopefully after looking at all this material, you'll be able to form opinion or opinions. List as many human activities as you can that take place in your local region that decrease carbon sinks. So we can think of Saskatchewan, we can think of Western Canada, maybe even Canada. What activity decreases carbon sinks? So think about what carbon sinks that we have in Western Canada. Make a second list of human activities in your local area that could increase carbon sources. Based on your list, do you think that the balance between carbon sinks and carbon sources will change over the next 20 years? Why? So things that take up carbon and things that release carbon. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for there. And 15, do you think climate change is occurring? Write a persuasive paragraph outlining or defending your point. And for that few sentences, folks, short paragraph, that's what I'm looking for there. All right, we'll see you again.